Okay, hey guys, welcome back to the next video on the action bar. In the last video we just went over how to add it and how it's included by default with the themed projects. We went over how to add new items, and we went over a little bit of logistical things about where they appear, how to order them, how they behave on different devices, so forth and such. Just to prepare for this video, I've just added another item. I've added a new item. If you come look here, you see a plus and a search now, just so we can get some differentiation in doing the code behind. The first thing we're going to cover here is responding to the action buttons, okay? As far as adding the actions to the action bar, we'll look briefly at that code, but that's actually done for us, as is this up button. But let me show you in the code where those two things are done. If you go to main activity, this onCreate options is what actually tells the device what XML file to read. So if you were doing all this by hand, you'd have to put this in there yourself, but it's actually created this for us. And it's inflating this menu.main file, which is that XML file. So that's how the program code behind knows which XML file to get the menu from. And then as far as this up button for low-level activities, we'll do that in a minute or two. That basically just has to do with adding a very specific line to your activity manifest file, and you can actually do that inside the new activity editor, which is the way we're going to do it. And everything else just kind of does for you. Again, you can go in and tweak that manually. I mean, you can go in and read all about those very specific details if you want to, but we're just going to cover the kind of basics right now, and the trick is it's going to do that for us if we just set it up properly. So I'm going to show you how to set it up to do that. But first, let's get to responding to action buttons. Now you'll see basically what it says is whenever anyone presses one of these buttons, it calls this onOptions item selected method. And then you can use the get item ID to figure out which menu item is pressed, and that item ID is going to give you that ID right there. So you basically reference your r.id file inside the code behind and call this same name right here, and that's how you choose. They've chosen to do a switch case statement. I think the default code behind actually uses an if statement. Let's come here. Yeah, so they actually use an if statement. We're just going to use an if statement too, just to show that it can be done different ways, but a switch case statement would be just as valid. Just depends on your coding preference. I'm not really sure if there's an efficiency difference between doing switch and case versus doing if-else ifs, but like I said, we're just going to do if-else ifs for now. They've already gotten the ID for us, and this is saying if it's equal to action settings, return true. So what we want to do is say else if id equals r.id dot, and we want action, I believe we called it search. And we also want one for action, and I think we called it action new. Let's go make sure. Yep, action new. Okay, so this is going to get pressed if the user presses the search button, and this is going to get pressed if the user presses the new button. And we want to return true on all of these. We're not going to put anything in the settings for now. I'm just going to leave that alone. For the purpose of this video, like I said, I wanted to talk about toasts. So let's come over here. This is what a toast looks like. It's just a little black box that puts at the bottom of your screen to easily notify users of different things. You can do all kinds of cool stuff like position it in very specific places, create custom views, and do all kinds of cool stuff like that. We're just going to use the stock standard one because our goal here is just to, again, expose you guys to a few more development UI options at the same time, learn a little bit. So we're just going to use this default one. We're just pretty much going to copy this code because when you're programming, copy-paste is your friend. And we're basically just going to put this in here and in here. So let's see here. So we actually see it's telling us we need to import context. If you just hover over that, it'll let you import. And we're also going to import toast. And now all those little errors are gone. Context is just a parameter. It needs to know which application to put the toast onto. So you call this and it returns you a context object. Character sequence is the text string you actually want to display, and duration is the short. I believe there's also length long, so you can do long or short. We're just going to do short. I'm not sure if those correspond to milliseconds or if they're just constants. This time could be user definable. Yeah, so there's ways to define your own length as well if you want to. But again, we're just going to use pretty much all default. But we do want to change this. We want to change hello toast. We want to say search action pressed. And right here we want to say new item pressed. So we're not going to do anything with those buttons yet. We're just going to display a toast depending on which button the user presses. So let's go ahead and deploy this. And if everything works properly, we should get the little toasts now, which were not there before. Previously, when you press the buttons, it just kind of did nothing. Well, you got the little blue highlight effect, but no toast. So let's go ahead and press this play button. And when I press it, you'll see we get a new item pressed toast, and then it kind of fades away there. Same thing with the search button. I press the search, and then we get a search action pressed. The settings menu icon is still hidden down here in this overflow, but we're not going to worry about that for now. But so this right here, this oh sorry, where'd it go? Right here. This on option item selected is how you do your logic and code behind. In our case, we've just decided to display some toasts, but you can do whatever you want. You could call functions. You could start new activities. You could do anything you wanted to do from right in here, and you could call any code that's available to you anywhere else. We've just chosen to display a toast for time being. So that pretty much covers that. Now the other thing I want to cover in this video is adding a new activity and how that works with the up button being the icon. Now in the previous video we made a new activity, but let's just make another one here. Let's do new, and I believe it's hidden under other somewhere. Let's do Android activity, say next. We just want to use a blank activity again. Project action bar, that's fine. I don't think we can call it the same thing, so let's call it activity 2, and it's going to create a new layout, new fragment, new title, all kinds of cool stuff like that. We don't need a launcher activity for it. We do want to select this parent right here. This parent is what tells it, and you see there it says it's hierarchical. Oop, I don't know where this hierarchical parent activity used to provide a default implementation for the up button. So this is very important that we choose this. So you press this, and we want to select the main activity, which is the parent to this element. You hit OK, and that's really all there is to that. We can hit next, and now we'll just click finish and leave everything else the same. So this has created just a default text view for us with another hello world string in there. But the key is, if we go into the manifest, it should have added, let's see here, open up the manifest file. Let's just go to the XML view. So you see we've added another activity here, the first one for main activity, now we've added one for activity 2. And you'll see we have a parent activity name and a metadata. The metadata is for newer versions of Android, this property. Parent activity name is for older versions, so we want to make sure both are in there. And then this is all you really need to implement the up button. So let's just go ahead and deploy this. And oh, actually I take that back. We need a way to start the activity, because at the moment there's no real way to start it. So let's come in here. And I actually have to go back here and reference this first one, because I don't remember quite how actually. Let's see, an intent is used to start the activity. So let's just take this code right here. This is what we need right here. But we're not going to use any of the put extra stuff, so we'll just take this and trim out what we don't need. Let's actually make this happen whenever we press the new button. So let's comment out the toast and just put this code whenever we press new. We're going to open up the second activity. So we need to import intent. We need to use activity 2 class. And we do not need to do any of this edit text or this string or this or this or this, because we're not passing anything to it. So all we really need to do is create an intent, new intent, give it this, which is the current class, and then reference the new class, and then say start activity intent. I don't know if we have to return true there or not, but we'll leave it there and see what that does. Let's save it. Let's come back over here. So we've added the second activity. We've made sure the metadata is added so it knows how to use the up button. And then we've added the code to start that second activity whenever we press the Add New Items button. So let's see here, and if we press search button, we should still get a little toast there. Well, I'm not seeing the toast for some reason. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go. Okay, search action pressed. Now, when we press the plus button, we should get a new activity, which we do. And so you'll see there we have a little arrow next to the Android icon, and that tells our device that when we press this item, which is now a button, it tells the device to take it back up a level. So let's press it, and it's going to take us back to our main activity, or at least it should, although it isn't. Okay, so let's go figure out why it's not doing that. Let's see if I missed something here. I think it might be that, let's go to add action bar. Adding action button, just come down here to the bottom. That's all proper. Let's make sure that name in the meta file is parent activity, although it probably is. Parent activity, yep, okay. Oh, I see. Forgot to do this. Okay. So this needs to be inside the file that we're creating. So let's go into activity2.java and put this right here inside onCreate, and this should take care of it. We're doing get support action bar. If you were not using the support library, you would just say get action bar. But we need to use get support action bar, and then this is just telling it to use that back button right there to actually navigate up a level. I just forgot that when I deployed last time, so let's deploy this, and this should work. I'm going to restart the app from the main activity here. So we see our plus and search button. We know the search button still does the toast, but we'll skip that for now and just press the plus button. We get activity 2, and now when we press the back button, it should take us back to activity 1. Although it's still not doing it. So we need to figure out why. So let's come in here and make sure, let's just make sure it actually made this in the right project. Yeah, it did, okay. Maybe I need to add this to the primary class. Did it say which one to add it to? Nodes main activity, not need to handle. It doesn't say which one to add it to, but let's try adding it to main activity. That might be the case. So let's see here. Let's go back up to onCreate and just put it right here. Ooh, put some extra little things in there. Let's try it in main activity here and see if that helps. Yep, here we go. Okay, so we'll press the new button, and now when we press activity 2, it doesn't do anything. Let's try getting rid of the application and relaunching it. Where'd it go? Let's go to where'd it go? Action bar. There we go. Okay. That's interesting. So adding it to this thing, adding it to the main activity actually put the arrow, I'm sorry, you guys couldn't see that, could you? It actually put, when I add that there, it actually added this little arrow to the main window, which is not what we want. And it's already added it to us, or added it for us in the second window, which means I shouldn't really have to call that there, because I can tell it's already working since the up arrow is there. So the only thing really to figure out is why it's not actually taking back up a level. Let's see here. Might be, no, I don't need an intent filter because I don't want this to be the main one. Well, this is interesting. Let's go back and look at our first app we did, because this one we know it worked in, right? So let's go check out the manifest in here and see if we're missing anything. We have a name, a label, a parent activity. All that stuff's the same. All that stuff looks pretty much the same. Do I have a name, label, and parent activity over here? Yep. All that stuff looks pretty much identical. The only thing that's changed is the class names and the package names. So that looks like our manifest file is fine. The only thing I'm wondering is maybe you have to send it. Go back up here. Maybe when you start the second activity, you have to pass it something so it knows how to come back to its main activity. Let's see here. It should have already been declared for us, which it was. And let's see here. Intent. Well, maybe I should just let me follow this and pass along a bunch of stuff. We'll just pass something. We'll just pass a hard-coded string, maybe. Let's see here. Put all this in here, and let's just say edit text, and we'll just say string message equals test We'll get rid of this whole find view by ID thing. We'll get rid of these two things. And we'll just pass along message, and extra message needs to be defined. So let's come up here and say, we'll just use again their default value. Just define this all the way up here. And so now we should be error free. Okay, correct. I wonder if it's this return true actually. Let me get rid of this return true. Actually, before I continue doing any of this, let me comment back out this intent or extra message stuff. Just get rid of return true and do start activity. I wonder if that's part of the issue. Could very well be, because when I did this previously, I didn't do it as part of a list like that. I just did it as a standalone button. So let's see here. Now when I press the plus button, we get a second activity with the hello world string. When we press this, no, it still doesn't take us back. Okay. So let's go back to adding this and see if this does the trick. If this doesn't work, I'll just go ahead and end the video, and I'll figure out why it didn't work and build that into the next video here. I just kind of would like to get this to work, of course. And receiving the intent. Here we go. Put this inside the onCreate method of the one that's being called. Okay. And we'll also have to import intent here. So now we're passing this intent along to message. We're not actually doing anything with it at the moment, but it's there. We're just passing the string test just to see if that helps create an additional link between the two. Before I go test this one last time, let's just go make sure this manifest looks right, because I'm baffled. I mean, it should be working here. Main activity, yeah, there's really no reason why it, oh! I see now. It has nothing to do with passing the intent along. I put the wrong... You guys probably saw this earlier and you're probably laughing at me. You're like, you put the wrong string. We actually had the wrong package name here. This needs to be actionbar.mainActivity. This needs to be actionbar.mainActivity. So that they're all along the same one. Okay, that'll take care of that. I'm just going to leave this intent here, even though it's not really being used at the moment. But let's redeploy this, and that should take care of our issue. That might be the world's silliest mistake that I've ever made. Alright, let's see here. So now, hopefully, we press the plus button and we get a new activity, and we press the back button, and it doesn't do anything. Why? I was so sure that was the issue. Let's come check this manifest one more time now, make sure I'm not crazy, but actionbar.mainActivity, oh, that's why. Now I'm using the completely wrong package name too. We have com.example.actionbar. How did this thing get so messed up? Okay, com.example.actionbar, 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 and this is com.example.actionbar. Okay, let's hope this does the trick. It's kind of a little crazy. I should probably proofread it one more time. Maybe I made another mistake here. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so let's hit the new button. We get a second activity. And now when we press the black button, it still doesn't do anything. That is extraordinarily boggling. What package am I actually in? com.example.actionbar. Did I make this using the wrong one? No, that's com.example.actionbar. This is com.example.actionbar. This whole thing is com.example.actionbar. 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 com.example. Oh my goodness. com.example.actionbar. Alright, if I forget one more thing. Alright, that should be all of them. Hopefully. If not, you guys probably already spotted the last one. You're probably yelling at me through your screens, fix it! But let's see here. Maybe not. Maybe we finally got them all. So we press the plus button, we get a new activity. We press the back button, and it takes us back. Excellent. So the moral of the story there is make sure you have your package names correct. I must have typed it incorrectly when I created the second activity because it just completely had it wrong there. But we got that all straightened out now, and you guys can see that we've covered how to read the user pressing the button. We talked about how to display toasts. We talked about how to create new activities. We actually had a little bit of a refresher on that, including how to send intents, just in case you needed that from previous videos. And we talked about how the up button is done automatically for you as part of the Android system. In the next video, we're going to talk about custom theming of the action bar and how to make it transparent, add backgrounds, add colors, change the text color, how to hide and show it. And with the hiding and showing, we're going to talk about some gestures a little bit. We're going to get into all that later. That's pretty much it for this video. Sorry for the lack of naming packages correctly. That took a few minutes there. Please like these videos, subscribe, comment, and tell your friends. Thanks. Bye. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to the next video on the action bar. In the last video we just went over how to add it and how it's included by default with the themed projects. We went over how to add new items, and we went over a little bit of logistical things about where they appear, how to order them, how they behave on different devices, so forth and such. Just to prepare for this video, I've just added another item. I've added a new item. If you come look here, you see a plus and a search now, just so we can get some differentiation in doing the code behind. The first thing we're going to cover here is responding to the action buttons, okay? As far as adding the actions to the action bar, we'll look briefly at that code, but that's actually done for us, as is this up button. But let me show you in the code where those two things are done. If you go to main activity, this onCreate options is what actually tells the device what XML file to read. So if you were doing all this by hand, you'd have to put this in there yourself, but it's actually created this for us. And it's inflating this menu.main file, which is that XML file. So that's how the program code behind knows which XML file to get the menu from. And then as far as this up button for low-level activities, we'll do that in a minute or two. That basically just has to do with adding a very specific line to your activity manifest file, and you can actually do that inside the new activity editor, which is the way we're going to do it. And everything else just kind of does for you. Again, you can go in and tweak that manually. I mean, you can go in and read all about those very specific details if you want to, but we're just going to cover the kind of basics right now, and the trick is it's going to do that for us if we just set it up properly. So I'm going to show you how to set it up to do that. But first, let's get to responding to action buttons. Now you'll see basically what it says is whenever anyone presses one of these buttons, it calls this onOptions item selected method. And then you can use the get item ID to figure out which menu item is pressed, and that item ID is going to give you that ID right there. So you basically reference your r.id file inside the code behind and call this same name right here, and that's how you choose. They've chosen to do a switch case statement. I think the default code behind actually uses an if statement. Let's come here. Yeah, so they actually use an if statement. We're just going to use an if statement too, just to show that it can be done different ways, but a switch case statement would be just as valid. Just depends on your coding preference. I'm not really sure if there's an efficiency difference between doing switch and case versus just doing if-else ifs, but like I said, we're just going to do if-else ifs for now. They've already gotten the ID for us, and this is saying if it's equal to action settings, return true. So what we want to do is say else if id equals r.id dot, and we want action, I believe we called it search. And we also want one for action, and I think we called it action new. Let's go make sure. Yep, action new. Okay, so this is going to